All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to look at this really cool, kind of surprising way to learn English that's coming out of a summer camp in Taiwan. The whole idea? It's about swapping those boring grammar drills for game drills.
Have you ever had that feeling? You're trying to speak a new language, and the words are right there in your brain, but they just get stuck. Your heart starts pounding, your mind goes completely blank. Yeah, that feeling. It's the worst, and pretty much everyone goes through it.
Okay, but what if the answer wasn't in a textbook at all? What if you could totally sidestep that fear? Imagine if the real key to speaking fluently wasn't about memorizing a bunch of rules, but just talking about something you already love.
Well, that is the exact idea behind this super unique course called Talking About Sports in English. It was created by an educator known as Teacher Tony, and we're going to break down exactly how this whole method works.
So here's the big idea. They call it the sports classroom method. And listen, it's not about getting every single sentence perfect. Not at all. It's about connecting with people. It uses that shared excitement for sports to get students talking first, and then they can worry about the rules way later.
So, think about it. You've got a room full of students. They're all kind of nervous, they're quiet. How do you get them to open up and actually start speaking? Well, you don't start with a boring lecture, that's for sure. Nope, you start with a game.
And the first thing they do is just brilliant in how simple it is. It's a musical Q&A game. The whole point isn't about getting the right answer. It's just about getting involved, moving around, and breaking that awkward silence in a really fun, active way.
And check out how low pressure this is. The rules couldn't be simpler. Music's playing, you pass a ball. Before you pass it, you just have to say the name of a sport in English. That's it. Then the music stops and, okay, you're on the spot, but here's the best part. If you freeze up, no big deal. You just do a simple action, like a jump. It completely takes away that fear of being wrong and just makes it about play.
Okay, so now everyone's loosened up, they're laughing, they're relaxed. That's when the course introduces a really simple but super powerful tool. And again, we're not talking about memorizing long lists of words here. This is about giving them an actual structure, a blueprint for a real conversation.
And here it is. It's a simple 4-step formula. Think of it like a little roadmap for their thoughts. It's so smart. You see how it starts with something easy? Just name the sport, but then it gets more and more personal, ending with an amazing story. That right there is how you build confident speakers.
And boom, here's what that looks like in practice. This is a real example from one of the students using that exact framework. Listen to how natural that sounds. It flows, it's personal, it tells a little story, it's a complete, compelling thought. This is what fluency looks like when you give people the right tools to build on.
That formula is basically the secret sauce. You could almost think of it like training wheels for a conversation. It gives students the confidence to just go for it because they have a safety net. They know what's coming next, and that frees up their brain to focus on the story they want to tell, not just wrestling with how to say it.
So as their confidence starts to really grow, the course makes another shift. Now it moves away from just individual practice and dives into teamwork, collaboration, and really expressing themselves. All of it still centered around that shared love for sports.
And this is where the learning gets really deep. The students start working together, making these cool group posters that combine all their sports stories into one big project. They also write personal reflections about what sports really mean to them. And this is key. The course connects all of it to pop culture, to movies and things the students are already fans of.
So for instance, when they're talking about basketball, they're not just memorizing the rules of the game. No way. They're watching and discussing an incredible movie like Coach Carter. And suddenly, the language isn't just words. It's tied to a story, to emotions, to something that actually resonates with them.
And when you start bringing in powerful quotes like this one from the movie, well, it's not just an English class anymore, is it? It becomes a real conversation. A conversation about courage, about teamwork, about potential. These are huge ideas that go way beyond just one language. But out of everything they do, this next activity might be the most powerful of all. It's called Make a Wish. It's simple. Every student just writes down one wish they have that's related to sports. Something like, I wish I could learn how to shoot a basketball.
But here's the incredible twist. You don't get your own wish back. You fold it up, put it in a box, and then you draw someone else's. And for the rest of the camp, that's your mission, to find that person and help them make their wish come true. How amazing is that? Language learning becomes an act of kindness.
So when you put it all together, you can really see why this method just works. right? It starts on common ground with a passion everyone shares. It gives them easy-to-use tools to build confidence. It makes it totally okay to make mistakes, which is huge. And most importantly, it turns a classroom into a real community where people are actually looking out for each other.
And that kind of brings us to the big takeaway here. For these students, sports was the key that unlocked English. So it makes you wonder, right? What's your sport? What's that thing you're passionate about that could be the secret key to unlocking that next skill you've always wanted to master?
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking an enthusiastic sprint through a highly specialized curriculum.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine a blueprint that can turn your sports fandom, all that passion, into, well, instant linguistic fluency.
Right.
Our source material is this comprehensive manual. We've got slides, handbook pages, all designed for a high school summer camp. And the title is just, well, it's brilliant. It's called Talking About Sports in English.
And that title is so simple, but it's also, a bit deceptive.
Yeah.
Because this isn't just a vocabulary list.
Not at all.
It's a structured, high-intensity, 90-minute blueprint. And what I find fascinating is how it immediately mashes up language learning with personal identity. Who you are, what clubs you're in, who your favorite athletes are, and then it gives you the actual architecture to have a real structured conversation and fast.
So our mission today is pretty clear. We're going to unpack that whole 90-minute flow.
And steal the frameworks.
Exactly. We're grabbing the conversational infrastructure. And when you look at it, the whole thing is broken down into these 5 distinct phases, which really gives you a great sense of the rhythm of the learning.
Yeah.
The first phase is the active language warm-up. It's a full 30 minutes designed just to get the language moving right away, focusing on the English names for sports and school clubs through these really interactive games.
And that first phase is so crucial because it goes way beyond just, simple translation.
Right.
It brings in this subtle, but I think surprising cultural element. It explores the origin and the meaning behind the English names for school clubs.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so they use examples like scouting or dance club, drama club, and they ask the students to understand the context, the history of these names in Western culture so it connects language directly to heritage.
That is so smart because the goal is immediate, right? Personal application.
Exactly.
So by the end of these first 30 minutes, you have to be able to share in English what clubs you're in or which ones you want to join, and then explain why.
Which forces you to translate your own identity.
Yes. It makes the vocabulary stick instantly because it's about you.
It creates this high personal stakeholding right from the get-go. You're not just repeating words, you're actually defining who you are in a new language.
Right. And to keep that energy up, they immediately ramp up the intensity. There's this 20-minute dual-track game session.
Yeah.
The first one is called the musical Q&A game. It sounds like high-pressure fun. Students pass a ball, but before they can pass it, they have to shout the English name of a sport.
And then the music stops.
And the music stops, and whoever's holding the ball has to stand up and answer a question or give a quick self-introduction in English.
But here's the brilliant part, the safety net they build in. Because you always worry about learners freezing up, right?
Totally.
Well, the curriculum has this genius, low-stakes alternative. If you can't answer the question, you can just perform a related physical action instead. Like, mimic a jump shot or pretend to throw a baseball. It allows for that immediate risk-taking in the language without the penalty of just silence. It leverages the physical energy of the topic itself.
That is fantastic instructional design. I mean, it just removes the fear of failure entirely.
It does, while keeping everyone engaged.
So at the same time, there's a parallel activity going on. It's called the Music Guessing Challenge.
Okay.
And students are listening to sport-themed background music, and they just have to guess the matching sport in English.
So you're hitting the auditory learning, too.
Exactly. Vocabulary recognition, auditory learning, all at once.
So this whole initial block, the warm-up, the games, it rapidly throws vocabulary at you, and it encourages you to take risks. But that brings up, I think, the big question.
Which is?
How do you go from just naming a sport, basketball, soccer, to having a real nuanced discussion about it?
The transition.
That transition is where the core of this whole thing really steps in. It's where you move from just language mechanics to narrative structure.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. The curriculum spends 15 critical minutes introducing 4 specific multi-step frameworks.
Right.
And these are not just like conversation starters. They are narrative architecture.
Right.
They give the learner this deep, structured way to talk about sports history, and their own connection to it. It turns a simple sentence into a whole story.
They move you beyond simple description into what you might call, I don't know, fluency level storytelling. And by limiting the response to 4 specific points, they make sure the speaker hits all the details that make a conversation actually interesting.
So let's dive into these 4 frameworks because they're the absolute core takeaway of this deep dive. Framework 1 is discussing your favorite sport. The structure is deceptively simple.
Okay.
First, you name the sport. Second, you give 3 specific reasons why you like it, and they emphasize specific. Third, since when? When did you start liking it? So it adds personal history. And fourth, an amazing event. Share one specific, memorable event.
And they give an example, right?
They do. It's like, my favorite sport is basketball. I like it because it's a team sport, it's exciting, and it takes skill. I've liked it since I was 10. And one of my most memorable games was in high school, where I hit a last-second three-pointer to win.
See? The structure immediately forces you to go from a big idea to a specific personal story. It's not just, I like basketball. It's a whole narrative.
Precisely. Now, the second framework is a bit more advanced. It's focused on group identity, discussing your favorite team. Again, 4 steps.
Okay.
1, name and country. So the Chicago Bulls, based in Chicago, Illinois. 2, reasons. Again, 3 specific reasons. Maybe their history, iconic players, their style. 3, best players. Name the icons, say something special about them. Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen. And 4, record or ability. Detail their achievements, like winning 6 championships in the 90s.
So this one forces you to be a bit of a historian. It's not just about who you like now. It's about connecting to a legacy. That framework is like a historian's checklist.
It is. And the structures just keep coming. Framework 3 is discussing your favorite athlete.
Right.
1, name. 2, the team they played for. 3, their specific position, like shooting guard. And 4, reasons. Give 3 reasons you admire them. Maybe they're skilled, clutch, competitive.
Again, it's that demand for specificity. You can't just say, oh, they're good. You have to explain why they're good, using the real vocabulary of the game.
And the final one is kind of the capstone. It's the PhD level of sports talk. Framework 4, discussing a favorite game or event.
This one requires some serious recall.
It does. Step 1, date, location, when and where. 2, the teams involved. 3, the final score. And 4, the situation, the key details of what happened that made it so memorable.
In the source material here, I think this is key. It gives 2 really powerful but very different examples of this framework.
Right.
The first one is pure cinema. It's describing the 1998 Game 6 of the NBA Finals. Michael Jordan hits the last shot. The Bulls win 87-86. It's all about the action, the stats, the outcome.
But then the other example flips the focus completely.
It does. It goes to emotion. They talk about the 1996 Game 6 victory, and they highlight the emotional context, how Jordan just collapsed, sobbing after winning that championship because it was the first one after his father had passed away. And that choice is so deliberate. It shows that this 4-step structure isn't just for listing facts. It's designed to help you convey the emotional, the personal, the historical weight of sports.
So it's about moving from what happened to why it mattered.
Precisely.
I mean, if you connect this back to the learner, these 4 modules are just phenomenal tools. They take you from basic words to building these complex, detailed stories about history and personal connection, and you can do it instantly with 4 easy steps.
It's a really powerful system.
Okay, so let's pivot a little. Let's see how this curriculum connects all these school clubs to global pop culture. Because the material knows that for language to stick, you need those cultural hooks.
Right, and it creates these instant connections by curating a list of sports and clubs and linking them directly to films, which is just fantastic.
Why do you think that works so well?
Because the films give you cultural context and visual reinforcement that a simple list of words just never could.
And they use films that, resonate everywhere.
Right.
For basketball, they link it to Coach Carter, but then they also bring in films like Dangal for wrestling, which was a huge blockbuster in India.
Right, and the Iron Ladies for volleyball, which is a Thai film.
Exactly. It shows that this kind of conversation is global. They even have this silly but, effective link. Dodgeball is linked to dodgeball. A true underdog story.
Of course.
Yeah.
And that list also shows the surprising diversity of clubs. It's not just about physical sports.
No.
I mean, you see the expected ones like track and field, but then you find these niche options that, honestly, they surprise me. Like, they mention a pyrography club.
Which is what, wood-burning art?
Yeah, art through burning wood. And then there's an ocarina club, which they actually link to The Legend of Zelda.
The Ocarina Club. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a fantastic sign that they get it. They know how to pull in every type of student, connecting video games and instruments to the language.
Totally. They also list some really specialized or localized sports, like t-ball, woodball, sepak takraw.
And this whole section really comes full circle because it ties that cultural context right back into the language itself through etymology. This is where the curriculum gets really layered.
I agree.
The name badminton, for instance. They explain it comes from the Badminton House estate in England, but the sport itself came from an older Indian game called Puna.
Wow. That's a whole history lesson in one word.
Exactly. And they explain that tennis comes from the French word tenir, which means take or hold, from that old French court game, jeu de paume.
A tiny fact that connects modern tennis all the way back to medieval Europe.
My favorite, though, is sepak takraw, that crazy foot volleyball game.
Okay.
Its name is literally a mix of two languages, the Malay word sepak, which means kick, and the Thai word takraw, which means woven ball.
Kickball.
Kickball.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? It means sports conversation is really an entry point into culture, into history, into etymology. It makes the language so much more memorable.
And the curriculum makes sure this learning doesn't just stop at the end of the lesson. There's a whole section on application summarizing 10 ways to learn English through sports.
Right.
These are methods designed to turn your existing interests into continuous study tools.
So you see some of the predictable but effective ones, like watching sports movies, reading magazines, or autobiographies.
Mm-hmm.
But they also push for more active application.
Yes, that focus on active learning is absolutely key. They encourage self-recording in English, so you record yourself talking about a sport and listen back for feedback.
That's a good one.
And also, speaking English while exercising, turning your run or your workout into a practical language lab, the whole athletic lifestyle becomes a way to get fluent.
And the last 15 minutes of this whole thing is dedicated to reflection and community, which I think is crucial. It ensures everything ends on this high personal note.
The reflection writing activity is just brilliant. The students have to answer this really deep personal question: what does sports mean to me? And they write about a memorable game or a lesson they learned or a family moment. And the material explicitly says they can use both English and Chinese to express themselves.
Oh, that's important.
It is. It validates the emotional connection over just strict linguistic performance.
Yeah.
That validation is essential for deep learning.
And the final activity is really beautiful. It's called the Sports Wish and Exchange. So each student writes a specific sports-related wish on a piece of paper, something actionable, like, I want to learn how to shoot a basketball, or I hope to find a friend to play badminton with, and they put their name on it.
Okay.
Then they all randomly draw a wish from one of their peers. And their goal is to try and help fulfill that wish during the rest of the camp.
That's a genius mechanism. It translates all the linguistic and cultural sharing into a shared social contract. It builds real community.
It closes the loop perfectly, doesn't it?
Right.
We went from simple club names to 4 detailed fluency frameworks. We connected sports to global films. And then we saw how it all builds community through shared goals. The whole 90-minute blueprint is just a masterpiece of learning design.
Yeah, this whole deep dive really proves that language fluency isn't just about memorizing grammar. It's fundamentally about having authentic, structured content and, meaningful shared experiences to talk about.
Absolutely.
And when you look back at the depth of conversation that those 4-step formulas enable, the curriculum even suggests moving into more complex topics. So it raises an important question for you to think about next. Which of the advanced conversation topics they provide would you find more interesting to explore? The commercialization and ethics of professional sports, or the question of which sport is truly the most dangerous or maybe the most expensive in the world?
That is some profound food for thought to close on. Thank you for diving deep with us into this instructional blueprint. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.